This spring, Chris and I went to Paris for a book tour for my most recent novel, Mona of the Manor, or as it's called in Paris, Mona et son manoir. And I was asked to prepare a statement for a television station about what I believe. And this is what I chose to write, and I'll tell you why later, if it's not obvious. Nearly half a century ago, I created a fictional character, a landlady named Anna Madrigal. She was greatly loved by one and all, but she harbored a secret that she shared with no one. When I revealed the secret to my editors, all of them male and all of them straight, they reacted with horror. How, they asked, would my readers react when they found out that their beloved Mrs. Madrigal had once been a man? Looking back these 50 years later, this all seems rather quaint. There are now transgender characters everywhere in popular culture, and Anna Madrigal, I'm proud to say, has made the journey with them. The centerpiece of all 10 novels in my Tales of the City series. Her most recent appearance was in Mona of the Manor, in which Anna's beloved daughter, Mona, encounters transphobia in the English countryside. This is my fictional response to a certain British novelist who seems to fixated on the wrong-headed notion that trans people constitute a threat to biological women in women-only spaces like public toilets. I would respectfully suggest to her that a woman stands a far greater chance of being accosted by another woman in a toilet than the poor trans soul who just wants to get in and out without trouble. Toilets are especially susceptible to the fears of bigots. I remember when I was a boy in the American South how fiercely the politicians fought against the idea of desegregating public toilets. The races weren't meant to mix, they said, when performing such an intimate act. They said it simply wasn't natural or decent. Anna Madrigal has sometimes been described as the first sympathetic transgender character in literature. If that's true, it's a laurel I'm happy to wear. I knew next to nothing about trans folks when I created Anna, and the prospect was a little daunting as a writer. In the end, I realized she was just another human being, someone with the same hopes and dreams and flaws as anyone else. I believe we should take that approach with everyone. Try to find our shared humanity and not focus on our differences. What more do I want to say than that? It's pretty simple, really. I did know next to nothing about trans people at the beginning. I knew of a trans woman in San Francisco who threw a party to pay for her sex change operation, who called it the ball to end all balls. And I thought that was lovely. I thought she showed a sense of humor that was amazing. And I had known a transgender person in Charleston before I moved to San Francisco who made quite a stir there, but stood her ground. I see it as a sign of total bravery when a person decides to be obvious and open about that, or even when they don't. I don't understand really why anybody has an objection to other people being who they want to be, or who they think they are even. It seems to me we should embrace everyone and leave our prejudices out of it. That writer I was talking about, I'm not being coy here, it was J.K. Rowling, has made a real career out of dissing trans people. She's part of a gang called the TERFs, Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists, who somehow think their radical feminism is something more advanced and relevant than people who simply say we're all here in it together and I'm for them all. Because as a queer, I felt very different for many, many years, and I realized when I became aware of trans folk that I had needed to look at life through their eyes, through their suffering. And so that's what I do, and I have done for 50 years. And I don't plan to stop doing it. And I hate that I still have to even have to bring it up. It's ridiculous. But I do want to, because trans people are getting more grief than anybody else in the queer world these days. And somebody has to say, enough, enough, stop this. Be a human being and let other people be who they are. It's just that simple. Let people be who they are. If someone has the courage to stand up for themselves and say, this is who I feel I am, then listen to them. Stop with your judgmental bullshit about who they are and what they're doing. Yeah.